Chapter 4. The Dungeon. 2 frog suits come down the hatch into the dungeon, arguing and yelling at each other. I didn't fucking leave him. That was the damn plan. We split up. He takes the space side, I take the port. But you saw him get stopped by the frogs. We all bump into frogs every once in a while. I was supposed to start shooting? Or go talk to him? Get us both in trouble? Well, you shouldn't have just left him. Hey! Jabbing him in the chest. Nobody comes running when I get stopped by the frogs. Just 'cause he's your little fucking boyfriend. You shoulda told me. Instead, you wait till he doesn't show up at the rendezvous to say something. I was sticking to the damn plan. If you'd have gone after Mercury, then I'd be going after both of you. Then we'd all be frog meat. Like hell. You'd have left us both. Getting in her face, gritting his teeth and flaring his nostrils as the 2 soldiers stare each other down. I'm going back for him, he decides, turning back down the hall. No, you ain't, grabbing him by the collar. Let go of me, shoving her off, but she grabs him again, wrestles him down off the steps. You can't take your emotions with you out on the battlefield. This is why Kim says no fraternizing amongst squad mates. I'm going, and don't you tell Kim nothing. I'm going back for our comrade because we don't leave men behind. The fuck's going on out here? Kim barks at them, coming down the hall to see what they're yelling about. You were supposed to be back hours ago. Kim, sir, the female soldier salutes. That woman is missing from your room. She's not in the cage, avoiding the real subject. Don't worry about her. She's with Doc Macias. Where's Mercury? Looking at only 2 of the 3 Bravo members. Kim, sir. The male soldier salutes too. Mercury's still out there. We got separated, the female soldier starts to explain, but the other soldier cuts her off. I thought it was part of the plan, and then they're arguing again. Stop bitching at each other. What the hell happened? Is he alive? He got held up by some frogs, sir. I continued with the mission, assuming he'd talk his way out of it. That's what we usually do. And did he talk his way out of it? I wasn't around to find out, sir. In the mission? We didn't succeed in rescuing anybody, she tells him, standing tall and trying to keep her eyes from wandering, so as not to betray the feeling of guilt creeping in. Kim studies her with no emotion either way, turns to the other soldier. That what you saw too, Simmons? He asks the man. Simmons hesitates a second, but just says, yes, sir. Kim grumbles to himself, paces back and forth, working his injured arm around. Well, from now on, you make a priority of ensuring your comrade's safety. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, the 2 respond in unison. Your squad mates are all you have out there, and you're all they have, too. So if compromising a mission that's most likely going to fail is the price to pay, save your comrade. Save the comrade you have. Don't risk him for one you've never met. Turning to face them. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, they echo again. Simmons watches Kim continue to work his bandaged arm around. You all right, sir? Kim looks down at the twitching burning ache in his arm, but resists rubbing it in front of the others. He just growls. Zelda. Zelda? I had a feeling that bitch was out there. Stealth camo sniper. That would explain it. Frogs were getting splattered by some high-powered energy rifle, but we couldn't tell where from. Yeah, Simmons says, and she was fucking with us too. She'd take out the frogs nearby just to splatter 'em on us, playing it way too close. The woman takes a deep breath, and when we released the cages, exchanging a dark look with Simmons, she started shooting the escaping humans. Kim growls and shakes his head. He doesn't have to ask, are you sure it was the sniper? Because he saw the same thing. He didn't want to have to tell the rest of the crew, but here they are. And what about Mercury? Changing the subject, did you see where they took him? No, sir. He was still being questioned by the frogs when I last saw him. They didn't have him in a collar yet. Yet? Simmons wants to know. They didn't have him in a collar, she repeats, then turns back to Kim, feeling the weight of her decision but trying to keep her head up. That was before the break. We lost contact after that. It's possible he escaped during the confusion, or the frogs left him and rerouted their objectives or whatever. All right. There's a chance he's still out there fighting. Taking a deep, decisive breath. Which docking bay were you working? If Mary's done repairing my suit, there might still be time. About to rush towards the workshop, But when he turns around, Macias is coming down the hall with the woman from the cage. I don't think you should be going anywhere, Kim. I told you 5 days, and it hasn't even been 5 Earth hours since you were on the operating table. The formerly and possibly still crazy woman from the cage stands a bit behind Macias with her arms crossed, glaring at Kim and the other 2 soldiers.
Mercury's still out there. Someone needs to...
We can do it, Simmons says, stepping forward. The female soldier agrees. Yeah, we'll go. We shouldn't have left him in the first place. I shouldn't have left him, she corrects herself. The woman from the cage scoffs at them and everyone directs their attention to her. This is Rose, by the way, stepping to the side so she's not hiding behind him. Rose's eyes get a little weak and pale, but she stands tall awaiting whatever judgment they might have for her. Good to see you out and about, Rose. I'm Mag, the female soldier says, quick and to the point, because there's pressing matters. She extends her hand to shake, but Rose just looks at it and doesn't uncross her arms. Mag shrugs. And I'm Simmons, waving an informal salute. Sorry for being so short, but we gotta head back out, turning back to Kim. Permission to proceed, sir?
Do I need to get a fucking gun again?
Mary shouts, coming out of the workshop.
Why are we all yelling at each other in the hallway? The frogs aren't here, right?
Oh! She gasps and stops short when she notices Rose.
Doc, look out behind you.
Calm down, she's fine.
Macias introduces her again because she still hasn't spoken up. Yes, this is Rose, she...
Ha! Rose,
Mary snorts. Can't help her outburst. Oops.
Pleased to meet you, Rose.
Trying to be polite and lose the sarcasm. Rose groans and turns to walk away. Simmons speaks up again. Sir, Mercury's running out of time. Do you have anything more for us? Kim takes a brief second to organize his thoughts.
Limit your search to the dock and the nearby outposts. Don't venture any further than 5 building blocks. And don't linger any longer than 30 minutes. If the frogs have already suppressed the cage break when you get there, don't risk it. Return immediately.
Yes, sir. They salute, about to leave.
Wait, hang on.
Mary stops them.
If you're heading out, now would be the perfect time to test my new stealth modules.
She holds out 2 small module chips to interface with the frog suits. Kim frowns, thinking about it.
No. This isn't the time to test something new. Not with the frogs on alert.
Hey, I'm no amateur. They're fully functional, no glitches, no hiccups. Check it out. It'll only be a second.
She hurries around to Mag's backside and flips open a panel on her shoulder.
There you go, easy.
Sticking it in and shutting the panel.
I built these suits. Well, Lizard and me built these suits with upgrades in mind. So there's a number of open interfaces just waiting to install new tech.
A projection screen from Mag's mask pops up, floating in front of her face instead of right in front of her eyes like it would if the mask was on.
See, it's installed already. No problem. And to turn it on, all you do is navigate over to the tab on the left side of your HUD, and boom! Frog suit becomes chameleon suit. Try it.
Mag makes a face. You sure you got all the bugs out? You didn't even spell camo right.
It's not camo. It's camo. Like chameleon. Just try it.
Mag rolls her eyes but initiates the camo. And in a blink, her whole body except her face goes completely transparent. Simmons flinches back from the sudden change. Holy shit, he whistles, moving back and forth to check at different angles. He reaches out and gives her a pat to the midsection. There's a thick thud-thud sound but no distortions, no flickering. Watch it, asshole. But then she gives herself a smack to test it out too.
Not bad.
Kim nods.
Not bad?
Offended at such a low assessment of her work.
It's like fucking magic. Look, there's even a proximity protocol so you can use it without a suit.
Sticking the module into her pocket and opening up her PC to turn it on.
Ta-da!
As she disappears, spreading her arms to make a show of herself that no one can see, although Macias senses something by his face, like a fly buzzing past his nose. He leans away and swats her invisible hand.
Oh, sorry.
As she reappears.
I went like this, guys. Ta-da!
Spreading her arms again for them to see and flicking the camo on and off. Simmons lets out a laugh. Badass, Mary, thanks. What do you say, Kim? Kim cocks his head as he looks through Mag's suit to the wall.
It looks good to me.
Good job, Mary,
she announces to herself.
It's a damn good job, but we don't know what the hell it looks like to a frog.
Turning to the soldiers.
So don't count on it to completely fool them. And be aware that when you find Mercury, it's going to leave one of you exposed. Give him the module if he's injured, and be prepared to compensate for any frog aggression against the visible party.
Got it, sir. Alrighty then, I'll just install this one too. Just slap it in and out, you can't hurt it. Flipping open the panel on Simmons's suit. I was hoping to keep one for myself, especially with our new friend roaming around, but I'm sure Kim will keep a close eye on her. Kim rolls his eyes.
She's fine.
So you're saying with absolute 100% certainty that when I head back to the workshop, she's not going to jump out of somewhere with a knife, or a hammer, or a high-voltage million-degree welding cannon? Kim doesn't say. And you're willing to go in there first and check, because you're so sure. Kim grumbles to himself and looks somewhere else.
Where's Ishmael? Those two get along. He can handle it.
And when you reference them getting along, does this mean she only tried to injure him seriously and not murder? Kim ignores her for now and turns back to Bravo team.
I'm giving you an extra 30 minutes now that you have the stealth modules. Remain undetected until you find our man. And when your time's up, get the hell out of there. No matter what. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. They salute and head up the stairs back out the hatch. Kim heads back down the hall. As he passes Mary, he says,
You, find Ishmael, and make sure to keep the workshop and all your tools locked up from now on.
Ishmael is dismantling some salvaged frog tech in Mary's workshop. He pinches his finger on something and says, "Ow!" Pulls his hand back and shakes out the jolt of pain. "Careful," Mary warns, glancing over her shoulder at him. Her eyes move suspiciously to Rose, who's sitting in the corner with her arms crossed, doing nothing. It's Ishmael's job to keep an eye on her, and he's in here working, so she's here too. The two of them are roommates now. She doesn't get her own room like Kim said, not yet anyway, partly because she's only been civil for a few hours after being primal for weeks, and because Macias caught her trying to steal razor-sharp operating tools from the med lab. "You know," Mary says to her, in her usual upbeat tone, "I'm sure you'll find your calling soon enough. But until then, do you know how to clean?" "Piss off, bitch." "Okay, so that was a little rude," she admits, keeping her cool. "I said piss off, and I'll say it again. I meant me, but yeah, you too. Don't worry about it, Rose. Mary's just joking." "Mm-hmm," Rose nods. "It's nothing to get mad about, and there's nothing wrong with tidying up a bit. You can piss off too. I'm not telling you to do anything. We're just glad you're with us. But there's definitely a lot to do here, and everyone has a job. So it's a good idea to start thinking about how you can help too. I'm still not sure what to do with myself sometimes, so I've been doing some cleaning here and there. You know, just to help out." "Hint, hint." Mary coughs. Rose shoots her a look. "Oh, stop, Mary. But really, everyone is so busy, and I want to stay busy too. It helps me feel better. We all had a lot of shit happen to us, so it helps to keep focused on something, even if it's something simple. Everyone knows what my fucking job around here is going to be," staring across the room at the wall. "As soon as you fuckwads trust me enough to give me a gun, you'll stick me in a frog suit and send me off to die." "Rose, that's not what being a frog suit is about." Rose cocks her head at him. "You didn't hear what just happened to those other fools? Dude runs into one fucking frog and they leave his ass behind. I'd say my chances are better with Mr. Hero, but ain't no way in hell he's gonna trust me to get his back. Besides, if Zelda's out there blowing away humans for shits and giggles, I can imagine how Kim got those holes in his arm. So maybe I'd rather not be another female anywhere near Kimura Gracie," letting her eyes linger on Mary. Mary straightens up. "What's this about Zelda shooting humans? Oh, you haven't heard? Zelda's out of her fucking mind," with about as much sarcasm as Mary is wont to use. "You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?" Mary ignores whatever she's getting at. "Did she shoot Mercury too?" "No. Apparently she put a few shots over their heads to fuck with them, but she was turning those jailbreakers into jibs." "Since when? Kim didn't say anything about that." "Yeah? Doesn't surprise me, because Kim wants Zelda on his fucking dick, and we all know how you people treat crazy homicidal cunts." Mary takes a deep, serious breath, tries to go back to her work. Rose leans over to Ishmael. "I bet no one's even told you why Zelda took off in the first place." Mary drops what she's doing angrily and lets it clatter. Ishmael looks up innocently. No, shaking his head. I just heard she got into it with Kim, but that's all. Rose turns to Mary and lets her stew in awkward silence for a few seconds, waiting to say it. But Mary doesn't let her. She spins back around and says plainly, I fucked him, tossing her hands up and letting them drop. Ishmael says, What? Not sure if he heard right. You know how it goes. The end of the universe and everything. Some hot, rugged guy saves you from unimaginable suffering and death. Wait, really? You and Kim? Yep. I see now that it was not the best decision, but I have to admit that not much else was running through my head at the time. Rose laughs out loud. Hey, I don't have to explain myself to you. No, she agrees, but why don't you put on some of this fancy gear you're making and go explain it to her? Or you can explain it to the dead guy when those other two drag his corpse back, if all three of them ain't dead already. I am not responsible for Zelda killing people. It's just sex. It's literally the first thing every survivor has tried to do. Get close to someone. It's nothing to lose your fucking mind over. So you thought you could get a little taste of her boy toy, the cock she spoons up to every night, and that crazy soldier bitch with a proxy in her head and 100 years of slow-burning vengeance pumping through her veins was going to be cool? Mary spreads her palms and opens her mouth to explain. But when you put it that way, there's really no explaining. A wave of heat rolls out from her temples and the base of her neck. Her nerves start feeling anxious and twitchy. She's not exactly embarrassed, but the feeling of guilt has been welling up for a while. She knows the others must think the same as Rose. No one else has come out and said it, but they give her looks and non-looks, avoid the subject and get quiet when she comes around. It was a stupid decision she wouldn't make again, but plenty of people have made the same mistake. So multiply people's basic urges by the harvest, the fear and the unknown, suffering and worrying and impending doom. It seemed like the natural thing to do, and for that short time it was the most important thing in the universe. Go ahead and judge me however you want. I'm sure you've never fucked some guy you shouldn't have, and he probably wasn't Kimura Gracie either. So I'm going to get back to making sure we all live another day. You go ahead and occupy yourself with your little gossip. Making a frivolous hand gesture at them as she turns back to her work. Rose scoffs and shakes her head with rueful scorn, turns to Ishmael. You hearing this shit? Everyone acts like they're all working hard, helping the fucking team and saving lives. But when it comes down to it, they're just in it for themselves. They don't want to help you. They want you to help them. They want to survive. And if you ain't some fucking computer genius or a damn mechanic, you're not welcome down here sucking up everyone else's air. So what do? They stick you in a cage or send you out into frog territory. They're so fucking busy and important, right? Building a gun so you can go out there and get shot? Stitching you up so you can get your guts torn out again? Mary glances partway over her shoulder but doesn't say anything. These people don't care about you or humanity or whatever the fuck. They're just afraid of fucking dying. They don't care what they gotta do. They want that last drink of water, that last piece of ass. And if they gotta take it from you, it don't even cross their mind. Oh, come on, Rose. That's not true. I know you've seen a lot since you've been here, but you're being really hard on everyone without actually getting to know them. Once you start living and working alongside them, I think you'll change your mind. Rose gives him a pissed-off look like he's being stupid and naive. I've been living alongside you fucks strip-shaved and tagged for months. You've seen the way humans really are back on those transport ships, begging for anything, trying to sell out their own family for food. We all got dragged down to that level. There ain't no coming back from that shit. Once you've come to terms with giving up your daughter just to make it hurt a little less, then what the fuck's a stranger? Who gives a fuck about any of you assholes? You think Miss Hero Fetish over there won't steal your food if she's hungry? Bullshit. Mary turns around with a wrench in her hand. Ishmael? Steadying herself so her voice doesn't quiver or break. If this woman is here because you need to watch her, then I hereby relinquish you of your scrapping duties, so you can get as far away from me as possible. You jack-offs are so fucking back-asswards, bitching at everyone else to act right, when you ain't no better. You let my sister die and expect me to deal with it. Then you fuck some chick's dude and expect her to lie down and take that shit too. It's not like that, Rose. Oh no? Seems pretty clear to me. It's not that simple, though. There's two sides to everything. Kim's sorry about your sister. He said so himself. But he can't save everyone. And Mary, Well, she was here all by herself for a long time. I can't imagine how lonely and scared she must have been.
Ishmael!
She snaps at him, more angry at Rose, but he's the easier target.
Do not start analyzing my fucking emotions. Right in fucking front of me.
Oh, sorry, I was just... Rose cuts in. I bet you got a fucking daddy's girl problem too. You want some older guy to spank you and boss you around. Now you're still getting bossed around. You're just pissed daddy ain't spanking you no more. Mary is trying not to engage Rose for her own sanity and safety.
I thought I told you to take this woman somewhere else, she tells Ishmael. You two can chat about whatever you want. Somewhere else.
Yeah, take me back to your bunk, roomie. Let's go fuck. Because that'll fix all our fucking problems. Give my little heart some comfort. Mary spins around and cocks her arm like she's gonna throw the wrench across the room at her. What? Rose challenges her. Do it, bitch. Mary is trembling with the urge to. But instead, she shrieks through her teeth and hurls it at Ishmael. He puts up his arms to protect himself and it clangs against his elbow. He grips at the shock of pain as she shoves him to make way and storms out of her own workshop. Mary? Ishmael says, knocking as he comes into her room where she's lying in bed behind a digital projection screen, trying to breathe slow and steady, but sniffling and shaking a little.
Please just go away.
Ishmael takes a deep breath. He doesn't want to upset her even more, but he can't walk away without saying something.
You're still standing there,
she reminds him, strengthening the opacity of the screen between them. All right, I'll go. But I just want to say that whatever happened, I don't blame you for anything Zelda did. And I don't think anyone else does either. Mary rolls her eyes and snickers. Rose is just trying to cause trouble.
Yeah, I know what she's doing. She wants to make everyone feel as shitty as her. And you, throwing her hand up at him, you're over here playing crew psychiatrist, or den mother, trying to make sure everyone's feelings don't get fucking hurt. I don't know which one's worse.
Ishmael hangs his head a little. I'm not trying to upset anyone, but I guess I have been getting on people's nerves.
Oh, so you've noticed. Yet you continue to stand there and do it.
Well, the only reason I talk about this stuff is because I feel the same way. Losing my partner and my daughter was hard, and I know Rose losing her sister hit her even worse than I feel. And like, with Kim, well, I was talking to Lizard, and after a while it felt like schoolboys fantasizing about some older stud, like waiting for him to come in the locker room and get undressed. Mary lets out a snort of laughter.
Yeah, Lizard's got a hard-on for him.
Lizard's a nice guy. I think that's kind of why he's having so much trouble adjusting. Mary groans in half-hearted agreement, sits up and rubs her face. And just so you know, he looks up to you the same as Kim. He's always talking about how smart you are. Like he would put the stuff together, but it was you that made it come alive. Mary frowns at him suspiciously.
You really been talking to Lizard so much? He won't say 2 words to anyone else.
I think everyone just got used to ignoring him. And he got used to it too, feeling like he's not really there. But having someone new around opened him up a little. It gives him a chance to start fresh and be himself. Mary sighs and drops her cheek into her palm. She looks at him there in the doorway, and even though she's still kind of mad, she says,
Sorry about the wrench thing.
It's fine. You just hit my arm. It doesn't hurt. He lies, consciously having to avoid touching his elbow, which is getting swollen and stiff.
I should have hit her. I wanted to fucking clobber her until she shut up. I can't even believe I just used the word clobber. It's like something my grandpa would say. It's just the most accurate way to describe the animal rage of beating someone with a wrench.
Ishmael twists up his lips, trying not to laugh.
Instead, I'm kinda taking a lot out on you.
She looks up at him, a little embarrassed, sighs as she goes on.
I don't mean to. I don't even know why I'm so upset in the first place.
Trying to roll the tension out of her shoulders.
I mean, I fucked Kimura Gracie,
she brags, still a bit starstruck about it.
We should be telling stories like you and Lizard, like locker room buddies. Instead, I just feel dumb and guilty. Now the only other frog suit worth anything is trying to kill us. She's sabotaging our attempts to save people. And Kim, she rolls her eyes, that asshole won't even give me a smile or a wink. He acts like it never happened. Not that I care, but still. Just a little smile like, you remember that, Mary? Because I sure do.
Ishmael grins and laughs to himself.
The only looks I get are from other people. Like, you dumb slut couldn't keep it in your pants. Meanwhile, Kim's the dumb slut fooling around with 2 women, but nobody says shit to him. He's a hero. They jump to attention and salute. Well, maybe I'm a hero too, damn it. Maybe that's my frog suit you're wearing, and my stealth camo, and my voice modulator.
What the fuck are you yelling about?
Kim barks, leaning into the room, looks right at Ishmael.
What do you do now?
Nobody's yelling, Commander Grabass. We're fine.
I heard shit banging around in the workshop. I come out here and you're screaming like there's a fight. Where's that Rose woman?
Checking over his shoulder in case she's already sneaking up on him.
I thought you were keeping an eye on her.
Oh, I think she's still in the workshop.
You think?
That's where she was last.
Well, then why the fuck are you here?
Turning his attention to Mary.
And weren't you just complaining she might steal your tools? Now you leave her alone with all your fucking tools. Didn't Macias tell you what happened in the lab? He turned his back for 2 seconds and she swiped a scalpel.
All right. Ishmael, go, she orders, waving him out. Make sure she's not fucking with my stuff. And if she doesn't stab you too hard, keep breaking down that salvage. I'm fucking tired. I'm probably going to keep working anyway because I don't know how to stop, but I just spent the whole day working up those stealth modules. I need to lie down.
Yes, sir, Ishmael salutes her. Mary groans and throws herself back on the bed. Kim doesn't know what's going on, but doesn't ask. Just shoves a gun into Ishmael's chest.
Here, keep it on stun. And if you have to use it, make sure not to hit any of the equipment.
Yes, sir. Fumbling with the gun as Kim walks away, muttering and shaking his head. Should we ask Kim for firearms training? Look for Rose in the workshop. Head back to Mary's room and try to hook up. Ignore all orders and gossip with Lizard in the med lab. Ishmael walks into the workshop to find Rose messing with something. Hey, leave that alone! Brandishing the gun, but too scared of it going off to actually aim it at her. Rose sees the gun and puffs her chest up like she might shoot first, even though she doesn't have a weapon. Fuck you! I'm just looking, as she sets the thing back on the workbench. You're back to fucking babysit me? Where's Lil Marilyn? She's the one needs her diapers changed. She's just resting for a while. Rose snickers. Hey, she spent the whole day making those stealth modules out of nothing. Could you have done that? Rose doesn't answer. Mary's the reason we have any of this stuff around here. The weapons, suits, even lights. And she deserves respect. Mm-hmm. Rose nods dismissively. So what's your deal then? Walking up closer, getting into his personal space. Me? Trying to hold his ground and not be intimidated. Yeah, you asshole. I don't see any other assholes around here. I told you I don't really have a job yet. I'm just helping out where I can. She rolls her eyes. No. I mean, do you eat pussy? Ishmael swallows hard. Rose widens her eyes and bobs her head around, waiting for the answer. Yes, no? You eat dick? I guess I've seen the way all you dudes look at Kim. I'm not sure what you're getting at. Rose lets out an exasperated sigh. Jesus fuck, kid, calm down. I gotta spell it out for you? I'm a girl, you're a boy. I like boys. And you, she shrugs, sizing him up. I seen the way you look at Mary. You dig girls. So, what's the deal then? Nobody else gives a fuck. The universe is ending. So, she suggests again, you do me, I do you? You gotta do me good, but I'll hold up my end. I'm no prude. Are you really asking me to... Yeah, she says plainly. Head. Like, have oral sex with you? I showered, I'm good to go. I'd rather just fuck, but I ain't taking no chances unless the doc's got some kind of birth control. But I'm guessing he's got more important shit to do. Ishmael takes a deep breath, asks warily, Are you just trying to make me uncomfortable, so I'll stop following you? Because it's not going to work. I have orders. Rose groans and shakes her head at the room. Oh my god, dude, fuck you. She cocks her fist back like she might hit him. Ishmael flinches, but she doesn't throw a punch. She just says, You're such an ass, and shoves past him out the door. Hey, where are you going? She doesn't answer, but it's his job to watch her, so he follows her out, keeping his distance. Chapter 5. Looking out across the harvest station into the dark colors of space, the air is stifled and muted. A faint melancholy lingers in the air. An invisible something swoops down from one rooftop to the next. We hear the quick staccato sound of footsteps. We weave in and out of space with the runner, but see nothing. Feel only the air rushing by. We hear the last steps and the jump. Then a great long silence as we look down from an impossible height. Still waiting in the silence, when out of nothing, it's as if the particles in the air burst to life, turn themselves inside out in a flash. Empty space becomes a solid wall. Claws dig in, scrape down the surface 20 meters to a quarter-pipe ramp. The mysterious runner appears as a visible outline as it's sprayed by the discharge, like sparks created by the friction. The ramp disappears behind the rider as they pass, like a wave into a spray of mist, like unnecessary data being deleted. The camouflage blinks away. The figure is down on one knee from the landing. It rises, features fully enclosed in a slim, slick suit. It waits in this straight pose for a second, as something else begins to materialize nearby. The thing builds itself into a doorway, into a room on the previously empty roof. The figure steps inside. The room is much bigger than it appeared from the outside, writing itself into existence in waves, a pulse of persistent growth and change. The figure removes its mask and shakes out her hair, dark and distant on the opposite side of the room. She peels off the suit and stands in front of the mirror by the closet, reaches in for something to wear. She pulls out a plain shirt and pants, looks at it, puts it back and pulls out a ravishing black dress, with what little fabric it consists of strung together by a silver hoop in the front and back. She tries it on, looks at herself in the mirror and thinks she looks ridiculous. But when she turns from the mirror and walks around, she feels amazing. She feels naked and alive, invincible, still hot and charged from battle. She goes to the table where there's water and beer, chicken. Looks and tastes like chicken anyway. She eats it because it's here. She wears the dress because there's anything in that closet. She wonders sometimes if it's real. It could be a hallucination. She could be eating paste and wearing rags. Is she going crazy? She's not working with the frogs. Far from it. She's killing frogs for the damned fun of it, for the high, for the drug or the fuck that makes you feel better for a little while. Then one fight she realized something was off. It felt like a simulation. Too much like a game. The frogs were fighting back, but they weren't fighting for their lives anymore. She didn't know what that meant, but when she left the battle and found a place to rest on one of the rooftops, this started happening. A room would appear, build itself out of nothing. It was always so unobtrusive, like asking, was it okay? Is this good enough? Should we be more? At first, she went along with it looking for a fight. They were luring her in. So she went, wary and awaiting the trap. But the trap was never sprung. They only seemed to accommodate her more and more. Weapons appeared, suit upgrades, and eventually the network. She's not sure how it happened. It didn't invade her brain or make some obvious switch. Instead, it was like looking out a window. It was like opening her eyes a little wider, expanding the frame through which she saw the universe, and noticing all the details in between. Sharp and defined and obvious. The connection simply became open to her. It was just there. She didn't have to use it. But the more she did, the more she seemed to grow. It wasn't like the human singularity network, where you felt somehow closer to the other users. She felt higher, like soaring and looking down at everyone else. On the battlefield, she started to see things before they happened. Her brain made confident calculations and she reacted before the action. She felt faster and stronger. Her mind was showing her beyond the horizon of her previous limitations. It wasn't natural. None of this is, but it sure feels good. She kept telling herself she would stop, but she'd also tell herself nothing bad has happened yet. She was being careful. She was flying high looking down. She knows it's not true. She pulls out a pair of earrings. She hadn't worn earrings since she was 13. The piercings in her ears had healed back a long time ago. When the jewelry appeared, she couldn't even put it on. She had to find a needle in the bathroom and re-pierce her ears. She tilts her head slightly to fit one on. "They are trying to make me feel like a woman," she says out loud. The frogs probably don't even know what this means, but they're using what data they've acquired and they're trying. She would never in a million years put on a dress and big stupid earrings in front of other people. That's why she's doing it now. She wants to know how it feels. She wants to do it while she's soaring high looking down on the rest of them. She feels like a kid again. She didn't have much of a childhood, but her best memories are of climbing a tree or going to the roof of a tall building. Just being there by herself with her imagination, looking at the sky, peaceful and alone and pretending things were better. She snaps out of her daze thinking how she's still a pretender now. She's not the woman in the mirror, and she's not as safe as she makes herself believe. The hatch to the dungeon comes whooshing open, and down stumble Mag and Simmons, hoisting an injured man between them. The man calls out in pain as they jostle excruciatingly down each step. "Easy, easy," Simmons says. "I'm being easy," Mag tells him. Kim hears all the noise and comes rushing out into the hall.
"Mercury!"
He runs over to help carry him. They burst into the med lab and Macias jerks his head around at the sudden ruckus. "Holy shit, you found him." He drops what he's doing and turns on his glasses, a digital projection that functions as an optical lens. "Set him down over here, on the operating table," pulling on a pair of clean gloves. The frogs figured him out. They were laying into him when we got there. Mercury screams and tenses up, rigid and twisted as they finally lay him down, his body having to adjust to a whole new set of pains. Macias hurries over. "Good to see you, son," inspecting the situation quickly. "We're gonna take care of you," peeling off the frog suit to check his wounds. Mercury clutches at himself and Macias sees the hand, mutilated and missing fingers. Is all he can say, mumbling at the gruesomeness. Mercury clenches his jaw, grimacing and growling at the pain. Macias notices his bloody mouth, missing teeth. The frogs had his mask off. Mercury lets out another howl of pain. Well, you can see, he doesn't even want to say it out loud in front of Mercury. "Anything else, son? Your leg?" Trying to straighten out his leg, but it won't go. It's dislocated and bent backwards.
"The leg was probably just to immobilize him. But the rest,"
meaning the hand and the teeth,
"I think they didn't like the way we were fooling them, like we were mocking them. So they returned the favor. You still got your tongue?"
Mercury opens his mouth wide to scream as the doc sets his knee back in place, and Kim can see his tongue intact.
"Well, that's good. I never seen anyone replace a tongue. Teeth, they've been doing that for centuries. Even Abe Lincoln had false teeth."
Patting Mercury on the shoulder encouragingly, but he can't respond through all the pain. Ishmael bursts into the room, squeezing past Mary, who's leaning on the doorframe. "Is that Mercury? Is he okay?" Kim turns to see him and immediately asks,
"Where's that woman?"
But then he notices her sitting on the counter in the corner of the room. It takes Ishmael a second to notice her too, because he lost her a while ago. Been searching until now.
"Mary."
"Yep," wiping the puffy, overworked fatigue from her eyes.
"Modify the dark gloves to look like frog hands instead. We should have known better. And do an in-depth comparison between the voice modulator and native frog speak. Now that they know we're using a modulator, they might be able to find some anomalies or hiccups in our speech. Or they might be modifying their own speech right now to compensate and weed us out."
Yeah, sure thing," she says through an open mouth yawn. "What about his hand? And his teeth? I should be able to handle the teeth. I might have to take a small sample," he puts it, meaning yank another tooth. "But if I can replace bone, I should be able to replace teeth. I can take a mold, and then I can use a culture growth method to cover the alien alloy with actual tooth enamel. I'm not a dentist, so I'm not sure if I can get them to take back into the gums, but at the very least I can make a decent prosthetic. The hand, though," as they glance at the hand missing 2 fingers and a thumb.
"Mary,"
he says over his shoulder. Mary takes another deep sleepy breath and blinks her eyes.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah, definitely. It'll take a while, though."
"Gloves, voice modulator, hand."
He lists them in the order he wants. Mary sighs and nods. unfortunately thinking about what Rose said about being bossed around as she heads out the door to her workshop.
Ishmael,
She calls from somewhere in the hallway.
Okay.
He calls back, but still unable to take his eyes off the writhing man. Even after all he's seen, the sight of unscrupulous torture, detached and inhuman, hasn't lost its impact on him. Kim smacks him in the chest and shoves him towards the door. Ishmael starts to hurry after Mary, but stops when he remembers Rose. She's still sitting on the counter in the corner of the room.
Come on, Rose. You can help too. We probably need to break down a lot of stuff to fabricate the hand.
But before Rose can agree or disagree, Kim says,
Leave her. Mary's got enough problems to deal with.
shooting a look at Rose, who just burns him back with her own piercing stare. Ishmael nods.
All right. Yes, sir.
He corrects himself and heads out the door. We're going to have to put him under. You hear me, son? Everything's going to be fine, but I got to do work on your leg, and you don't want to be up for it. Mercury moans but nods his head. Okay, hold him steady, you two. This won't hurt, pulling out a mask to cover his mouth and nose. But if he's moving around too much, the gas will leak out and turn us all upside down.
We got him,
Simmons says, holding him by the shoulders. Macias readies the mask, straps it over his face. Hold this in place just until he closes his eyes, then shut off the valve.
Got it,
Mag says. Macias heads across the room to get his tools cleaned and prepped.
Is the leg really that bad?
Kim asks so the others can't hear. No, but I'm going to have to take the rest of that hand. He won't be too happy when he wakes up, but he'll be better off. Once Mary fabricates the new one, it's got to go anyway, so better now than later. Rose mumbles something and shakes her head.
Yo, Kim,
Simmons calls out. Mag elbows him.
What are you doing?
She says under her breath. Simmons brings his brow down seriously and mouths something to her.
What is it?
Kim wants to know.
We think Zelda was out there again.
Mag groans and bites down, turns her face away. Simmons gives her a quick look of admonishment, then says,
Only this time she was covering us. We had to slip in and blast the frogs holding Mercury, and that set all the frogs on alert. They were on us fast. We didn't have time to give them the stealth module. We had to grab them and book it.
I doubt we would have got very far either, glancing at Mag but not saying, like whatever else happened out there will remain between them. But Zelda kept him off us. Kim frowns and grumbles to himself. He should be pleased, but instead he's even more confused and unsure. It's great she offered a little help, maybe a lot of help. Knowing Zelda, she could probably hold off a couple hundred frogs without letting them touch you with more than their splattered insides. But then again, it's too conspicuous. It's just more frogs to kill. It's a chance to show off, display her superiority, regardless of whether she's doing good by it. He still doesn't understand the motivation behind her actions.
He's out, Macias.
All right, thank you. I can handle it from here. Wheeling over his tray of surgical tools. I need a sterile environment now, guys.
And I need to wash off all this frog guts,
Mag says, heading out of the room without looking at anyone. Rose follows her out with her eyes. Doesn't say anything, but she noticed what was going on over there between her and Simmons, and from what she overheard in the hall earlier, she gets the idea that Mag was trying to save herself and ditch her comrades again.
I'll go clean up too,
Simmons says, but lingers a second, watching Macias position Mercury for surgery.
Once I'm cleaned up, I'll come back and get this mess we tracked in.
Not to be so frank, but we ain't done making a mess, kid. Simmons nods, lips twisted.
I'm sure, but I'll be back anyway, if that's all right. I'll stay out of the way.
Macias shrugs. Can't afford him much thanks or encouragement when he's trying to work. Have it your way. Simmons' eyes linger on Mercury a while longer before heading out. Sir, as he passes Kim. Kim just nods, then turns to Rose, who's trying to ignore him and pretend like she's watching Macias.
Come on, we're heading to the dojo.
Rose turns to him slowly.
I ain't going nowhere with you.
Get down,
he orders her off the counter.
I'm not a dog, asshole, and I'm not one of your damn recruits gonna jump when you say so.
Get down and hold your arms out straight.
Rose doesn't move.
Either I check you or I put you back in the cage. I don't got time to deal with your shit, and neither does anyone else around here.
Rose makes a drawn-out show with her body language of how much she dislikes it, but hops down and sticks her arms out. Kim pats her down and right away feels something strapped to her side, lifts her shirt to see. He rips the tape off and shows her the knife.
What else you got?
Rose glares at him, but eventually just rolls her eyes and gives in. She reaches into her pants, rips off another piece of tape and pulls out some kind of welding tool. Kim snatches it from her and throws it on the counter with the knife.
Come on, you want to murder someone? You can work it off in the dojo.
Kim is in the dojo hitting the punching bag. He throws a spinning side kick, a double roundhouse, a flying scissor kick. As he pounds away at the bag, we see in the space of impact, behind the flying feet and shins and fists, Rose in the background, sitting there with her arms crossed like it's all she knows how to do. He takes a breather and turns to her.
Why don't you do something? Do some pull-ups. You used to do pull-ups in that cage. Now you're in a gym, you just sit there.
Still, she just sits there.
Or hit the damn bag, instead of sitting there hitting me with your fucking mind. Or get over here and spar, you want to hit me.
She narrows her eyes and considers it, gets up and paces around the room, looking at all the equipment. She picks up a dumbbell and does a couple lazy curls. You really think this shit is going to protect you from a painful froggy death?
Is being a smart-ass going to protect you?
As he beats on the bag some more. She doesn't have a smart answer for that. She just drops the dumbbell back down noisily. So tell me, what's the big plan then? Everyone's always working, but they don't know what the hell they're doing either. They just do what the fuck you tell them. But what the hell for? Are we trying to get off this ship? Or we're just supposed to work our asses off till we're dead and you bring in someone else to replace us?
The plan is to rescue as many people as possible, disable or destroy the station, and secure transport out.
Rose wasn't expecting a real answer, but scoffs at his stupid plan anyway. And just how far along are we? Kim stops to look at her.
Unfortunately, we seem to have reached our capacity for survivors. It's been 3 months, and we can't seem to keep more than 10 people alive and together. 10 is actually too many, because it leaves room for people to be completely fucking worthless and still survive on other people's hard work.
Going back to the bag, Rose grinds her teeth.
You know, I've met a lot of people like you.
Like me?
Yeah, like you. People your friends could always depend on in a tough situation.
She turns and cocks her head at him, confused and wondering if this is still an insult.
But that tough situation was always about robbing the neighbor's house when they go out of town, or trashing somebody's car because they pissed you off.
Fuck you, asshole.
I was connected to a network of people like you. I bet your friends always took you along to a fight because they knew you'd jump in once shit got started.
Rose opens her mouth to say something, but she's hit with a sudden gust of emotions. All the friends she did fight with.
Yeah, that one hurt a little, because you remember those times. You don't even realize till later that the closest you've ever been to somebody is when you were fighting alongside them, or fighting against them.
Shoving the bag hard and slipping out of the way to throw a few punches as it swings back. Rose grumbles to herself, but doesn't say anything out loud. She just turns to the punching bag near her, balls up her fist and shoves it with her knuckles. Doesn't throw a real punch, because that would be showing too much gumption in front of him. You trying to make me into a soldier or something? 'Cause it ain't gonna work. I ain't going out there and dying for any of these assholes. I already died for the last friend I had, 1,000,000 fucking times. And guess what? It didn't make any difference.
So you'd rather sit around here, picking fights and talking shit?
Rose glares at him, gives the bag a solid punch.
Or would you rather put on a frog suit, grab a gun, go out there and do something about it?
Starting to work the bag hard again.
You might even enjoy it.
Rose keeps an even look, takes a deep breath and works her jaw around. She feels the itching burning thing he's talking about, and part of her wants to accept it, but it makes her feel small and weak to give in. She faces the punching bag again, clenches her fist, but doesn't hit it, just turns around and paces back to the corner, where she sits down with her arms crossed.